Today, we're diving into a real high-stakes standoff, the Pentagon versus the AI company that dared to say no.
So let's get right into it with a pretty wild question. What actually happens when one of the most advanced AI companies in the world tells one of the most powerful militaries on Earth, no, we won't do that?
Well, it all kicks off with a designation that honestly is just shocking.
The news dropped like a bombshell. The U.S. Department of Defense officially labeled Anthropic, a top-tier AI company, a supply chain risk. Now, that might just sound like a bunch of bureaucratic jargon, but trust me, the implications here, they're huge.
So, what is a supply chain risk? Well, think about who usually gets this label. We're talking foreign adversaries, companies from hostile nations. It is a blacklisting. Pure and simple. It legally requires all Pentagon partners to immediately stop using Anthropic's products. This is just not a label you expect to see slapped on a leading American innovator. So you're probably asking, how on earth did this happen? Well, it all comes down to a fundamental disagreement, an ethical red line that one side just wouldn't cross.
Okay, so the conflict really boils down to this. On one side, you have Anthropic drawing a line in the sand. They flat out told the Pentagon their AI could not be used for mass surveillance of Americans, and it could not be used to create fully autonomous weapons, killer robots with no human in the loop. The Pentagon's argument? They believe a private contractor shouldn't get to limit how they use a piece of technology. It was a complete and total impasse.
And the consequences of this decision, they are, to be frank, completely unprecedented. And this is where things get, well, kind of crazy. It illustrates this central paradox perfectly. The Pentagon is ordering everyone to stop using Anthropic's AI, but at the same time, the U.S. military is currently using that very same AI, a model called Claude, to help manage data for its operations in the Iran campaign. They're literally trying to ban a tool that they actively rely on.
As you can imagine, this move has drawn some incredibly sharp criticism. Dean Ball, who used to be an AI advisor at the White House, he did not mince words at all, calling the designation a death rattle of the American Republic. He's basically arguing that the government is acting like a thuggish tribe, punishing its own innovators more harshly than its foreign adversaries.
And it's not just former government officials who are sounding the alarm. This has caused a major pushback from right across the tech industry.
You gotta hear this. We're talking hundreds of employees from Anthropic's biggest rivals, companies like OpenAI and Google, who've signed letters demanding that the DoD reverse this decision. They see it as a dangerous abuse of authority and are even calling on their own bosses to stand with Anthropic on this.
So what you have here is really a tale of two very different AI labs. You've got Anthropic, designated a risk for drawing these clear ethical lines, and then you have its competitor, OpenAI, which struck a deal with the Pentagon. The terms of that deal? Their AI can be used for all lawful purposes. That phrasing is so ambiguous that some of their own employees are worried it could open the door to the exact things Anthropic refused to do.
Now, we have to talk about the political angle that's been reported here. Anthropic's CEO, Dario Amodei, has called the DoD's actions retaliatory and punitive. It's been reported that he suggested his refusal to praise or donate to the president might have played a role. On the flip side, OpenAI's president, Greg Brockman, recently made a massive $25 million donation to a major pro-president super PAC. We're just laying out the reported facts here so you have the full context.
So, all of this brings us to the really crucial question. What does this all mean for the future? Is this setting a dangerous precedent?
Because this whole fight, it really just boils down to one fundamental question for our time. Who gets to control the future of artificial intelligence? Is it going to be the private innovators who are actually building it, or is it going to be the government that wants to wield it?
And that leaves us with one last, really provocative thought to chew on. As we look at this whole situation, you have to ask yourself, should the creator of a technology, any technology, be able to decide how it's used? That's the huge ethical dilemma right at the heart of this story. Definitely something to think about.